My husband always said he was working late, but when I found a receipt for a hotel room in his coat pocket, I knew something was wrong. I didn't want to believe it, so I let it slide. That was until one day when I was cleaning out his car. That's when I found a woman's scarf, one I had never seen before. It was soft, silk, and smelled like a perfume I didn't recognize. I was furious, but I kept calm, telling myself I needed proof, not just suspicions. The next few days, I kept an eye on him. I started following him after work, just a little bit behind. One evening, I saw him meet a woman outside of a restaurant. They laughed, hugged, and even kissed. My heart sank. I wasn't sure what hurt more, seeing him with her, or realizing how long he had been hiding this from me. The next day, I confronted him. He denied everything at first, but eventually admitted to the affair. "It's just one mistake," he pleaded. "It didn't mean anything." I was devastated, but I still didn't want to give up. I asked him for time to think. I decided to leave the house for a while, to clear my mind. While I was at my mother's house, I thought I might be overreacting. Maybe it was just a one-time thing, I thought. But deep down, I knew that trust was broken, and that I could never look at him the same way again. One afternoon, while I was checking my emails, a message from an unknown number popped up. It was a photo of my husband and the same woman from the restaurant. This time, they were in a hotel room, their hands all over each other. It was the last straw, but as I was about to delete the photo, a second message arrived. It was from a familiar name, my husband's best friend, James. "Claire, please don't do anything rash. I need to tell you the truth before it's too late." I couldn't breathe. I called James immediately. His voice was shaky when he answered. "James, what's going on?" I asked, my heart racing. "You need to know something about the woman he's been seeing. It's not just an affair. Claire, she's pregnant. And it's his." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My husband, the man I had trusted for years, was not only cheating, but had gotten another woman pregnant. My hands shook as I hung up. I didn't know what to do next. The next day, I confronted him again. This time, he couldn't deny it. He confessed to everything, how the affair had been going on for months, and that he planned to leave me for her. I wanted to scream, to shout, to tear everything apart, but I didn't. I stayed calm. I want a divorce, I told him. He tried to beg, to apologize, but I couldn't hear him. I packed my things and left, but as I was walking out, I stopped in my tracks. There, standing in the doorway, was his first love, the woman I'd always feared would come back into his life. "I'm sorry," she said, almost too calmly. "I didn't want to hurt you, but it's time you knew the truth." Just then, a thought crossed my mind. What if she knew all along? What if she had been the one to pull him away from me? Slowly, piece by piece, I left that night. But the next morning, I received a phone call from the hospital. "Ma'am, we have your husband here. He's been in a serious accident. We need you to come down immediately." I rushed to the hospital, my mind reeling with questions. When I arrived, I found my husband in critical condition, but somehow he was still alive. I walked into his room, and there, sitting by his bed, was the woman. The one he had promised was nothing more than a friend. She was crying, holding his hand. You. I couldn't speak. The anger boiled up inside me, but I just turned and walked out. I didn't stay. I didn't want to be the one to see him suffer. He had made his choice. But as I walked out of the hospital, I got a call from James. "Claire, you don't know the whole story. There's something more you need to know about her." I didn't want to hear it. I hung up, but my curiosity ate at me. What could be worse than everything I already knew? I left town to get away from the chaos, but it wasn't enough. A week later, I received a letter. It was from my husband. "I know I've hurt you and I don't expect forgiveness. But please understand, the woman I'm with, she's carrying my child, and I'll do anything to make it right." I ripped up the letter, but there was something about his words that kept me awake at night. Was this really the end? Would he ever come back to me? Or was I just another chapter in his life, easily closed,